The next thing is, now if we want to concentrate on this particularly right now during this process, during this module, remains to be seen, we might want to carry on concentrating on the machinery we have. But if we come away, the next week or so and go, now what we've recorded is fine and what we've got is fine, we're just case rehearsing it. Maybe we find the time to create something more devised. But it's a case of finding we need to think of a narrative, a storyline that we want. We have to think about writing it. We probably wouldn't write the start of it and show that, because that's a bit boring. We'd want something from the middle, something it's like a trailer. It's like a teaser trailer, like a demo. You want something
that sums it up a bit.
Yeah.
Doesn't give everything away.
And we probably only want 1 minute to 2 minutes of it, because if we've got 3.5 minutes performance with this machinima, we have another 2 minutes of devise that says this is where it can go, this is where we're going to take it.
Right.
So
Okay, yeah.
yeah, I guess the idea is what we want to say. Now, I had a little chat it'd be a month ago today actually. So exactly 1 month ago, I had a chat with another filmmaker who I know from my undergrad, called Rob Fawkes, and he's big into games. So we were having a little chat, and I spoke about how there's talk, or there's sort of there's potential that some people might want to see me do a piece based around grief and coping with the grief, and potentially as a way of coming to terms with myself, or whatever. I was a bit hot and cold on the idea. I was a bit 50. I was like, I'm not sure I'm ready to do that, or how much I want to do that, and how much whether I'd be ready to do it. But after having a little chat with Rob, we sort of we found a way that we could maybe think about doing it that's not as difficult. So we had a talk about, as opposed to specifically doing it about my own grief and my own experience, we do something around the idea of escapism.
Okay.
And how people cope with, not specifically me, but how people or young people cope with grief.
Okay, yeah.
And how maybe they like to use escapism as a coping mechanism, and video games as a form of escapism.
I can help with that.
Yeah, and then
pretty much sums up my life.
and then yeah, it'd be a sort of like so say it's a 20-minute piece. The first 15 minutes are sort of like he said himself specifically, you want to lull the audience into a false sense of security. You want to make them think that we're its friend, and then at the end you twist it around, you smack them in the face with what it's actually about, and it's more effective.
Yeah.
So you don't want 20 minutes of this is about death and depression, it's sad. You want something about you want something a bit comical, a bit friendly, a bit sort of fun, but obviously there's something going on underneath.
There's no reason you can't say something worthwhile while not having fun.
Yeah. So we didn't speak too extensively about it. It was more just like this could be an idea. But he came up with a nice idea of a moment where it's like, just like and it's just like this is a comic moment, a sort of like a, making the audience your friend moment, where it's like as a performer I'm talking and the game is whatever game footage is on behind me, and then as I'm mid-sentence the game freezes, it breaks, the game crashes, I have to take the game out and blow on the cartridge or whatever, put the disc back in, and then a console startup sound plays, and it's like a nice little joke and you just carry on or something. So it's like he said, I'm talking, game freezes, I fiddle about, and then you just say Sega, and then I just go back into what I was doing.
EA Sports.
Yeah, or something but that sort of have a sort of a dark comedy show about grief and coping and escapism.
Yeah.
That would be the general idea. And then he also said I can draw as much or as little from my own experience as I want. Then
okay. Yeah.
It's more about just doing the research into escapism and grief in young people.
Well, you understand escapism enough. You play a lot of games. I've spent my whole life watching films, pretty much for that reason.
Yeah.
Without knowing necessarily, but still, it's something we could definitely do.
Okay.
And it was a long time ago. It's not going to be awkward for me to do.
No. Yeah. Exactly. So I think that might be the road we go down, and I'm happy to do it. But I definitely want to make it, a comedy show.
Yeah.
Something funny, something entertaining, but also, you know, at the end, people come out and they go, "Ooh, wasn't expecting that." Like,
I think,
that's
yeah.
done me in.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea, actually. You know, it's something that we already have in common there. We already both know how to do comedy, at least to some extent.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's not going to be too tricky to do at all.
Yeah, it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we're going to sit here now and we're going to brainstorm a narrative or a storyline or a script, but this is the, you know, these are the
Focus on this for now.
Yeah, this is the general idea. Maybe we'll have a meet up during Easter, maybe next week at some point, and we'll have a little chat about it. But yeah, you down for something along those lines, maybe?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you could do it, and it's like, even if it was just like I was listening to my Spotify the other week, and I was listening to the Red Dead Redemption soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and some of the songs at the end are, you know, some of the more like lyric songs are a bit sad, and I was listening to one.
I remember what's on there.
Yeah. I was listening to one called Compass or whatever, and I was thinking, even if you wanted to, like, if we did the entire ending of the piece in a game, so without me, so if I'm still stood on stage, but the ending of the piece is done in a game, and maybe it was done in GTA because my character looks like me,
Yeah.
and maybe it's just like, you know,
No talking.
yeah, no talking, just a bit of music, and he's running or whatever. He's just sort of like, it's in parts of it's in first person, part of it is in third person. My guy's just like running, and then, like, I don't know, maybe we take him to the graveyard in the game, and it's like, you know, you make it clear that there's been a death or whatever. You know, and maybe it's a case, maybe you use clips from Red Dead Redemption where, like, you know, spoilers, John Marston dies, Jack Marston sees his dad die, you know, and like, yeah, and then there's like, you get that shot of Jack Marston stood at his dad's grave, you know, maybe it's something along those lines. These again are things that we'll talk about more in depth in the future. And also, I mean, and again, for this module it's only like a brief teaser, but if it turns out that for my final module in the summer I want to create an actual, you know, 20 minute, half an hour long piece of machinima theatre, we'd probably do this. We'd write it, devise it, go over this process again, but with something that we've made ourselves.
Right. Cool.
So yeah, this will be stuff we'll talk about in the future. Like I say, sometime next week maybe. But that's the general gist of what I think we could go down in terms of a narrative thing. I think that's probably the future of it. If we do it in the future, next semester or trimester, that'll be the road we go down, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe next week we'll have a little think about writing a minute to 2 minutes. Not the ending, 'cause that's spoilers. But, you know, somewhere in the middle that's just sort of like...
Or even just a way to go with it, not necessarily actual scripts.
No. Maybe we write a bit that has the sort of the video game crashing joke in it.
Okay.
Maybe we do that. I don't know. But so to wrap up, you're happy with the process so far?
Yeah.
We've decided we know what we want to do in the future. We know what we want to do now in terms of this particular project, in terms of sound and playing about with that. But ideally we want to do something devised, and we know where we want to go with that. So anything you want to add? You're happy or?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well.
Okay, cool. Let's get to the editing suite.
Sweet.
Ah.